Not only is the world changing, but it's changing at a faster and faster rate over time.
So there's this interesting open source social mirroring that's going on that has been accelerated through these social technologies.
We have mountains of data that we didn't have before.
And the world just got bigger.
We're moving from a world in which total control is the game to total creation.
The ON program itself is intended to collect the best and brightest minds in topical areas and bring them into Deloitte University. This week, we're here at ON to do a deep dive on the power of social analytics.
This roundtable had a pretty broad mandate.
We gathered here at Deloitte University to explore a topic around social data and its implications for business and broader arenas, including government.
So that was a big assignment for a day and a half.
Virtually every CFO I've visited with has been intrigued by the idea that social media could have a material impact on the bottom line.
And this is a tremendous opportunity to use an asset that's highly untapped to transform the way we interact with our people, the way we make decisions, the way we interact with our clients and our suppliers.
The workspace will be re-engineered to a very different specification. The organizational structure itself and reporting relationships will take on a completely different meaning. There will be a significant shift in organizational dynamic.
I think one of the opportunities in looking at social data is how can you start to instrument the products and the services in a way that begin to reveal patterns of use, patterns of like, patterns of dislike, patterns of sharing.
I think people are willing to share more data, and we're not giving them enough reasons to do so.
So much of our corporations are inside-out corporations. How, by our ability to collect massive amounts of data, social data, do we bring more of the outside in?
The core issue that we were wrestling with in this gathering was this growing gap between availability of data and the value that we extract from the data.
People are in a rush to design, new logistics, new CRM, all these sorts of things using social media and social networks. Organizations' management is changing. But it turns out that we don't know how to do that.
I think probably a more significant barrier is just the talent, the understanding of how to use the data.
Really, the fundamental thing is we don't know how social media or experience changes the way people make decisions.
Social data is very different from machine-generated data. It's fuzzy, it's looser, and somehow you've got to clean and organize and make sense out of all of it.
Part of my work is to essentially summarize this type of data in a meaningful way. In the case of social data, classical statistics falls apart. So you have to essentially invent new kind of statistics.
I think overall what we've got to get to is a place where data is simplified enough and the insights that we could get from that are simplified enough so that the CFO can take away one soundbite and know I need to go invest in that.
Is there the potential that social networks will flatten out the world, all sorts of organizations? And my answer to that is yes.
It's hugely disruptive to live in a world in which we are all creators of data, we're all creators of content, and we are therefore all potentially engaged in the life of our democracy.
Human society has a remarkable ability to reorganize itself. The reason there's a disruption is because we realize that more is possible.
The next phase, the next step in this chain of behavior, social behavior that's going on, the social learning, is how do you then harness that energy for the mundane, day-to-day stuff of life and governance?
I can see a future 20 years from now when government agencies will be much smaller, when they will actually be facilitators of ideas and concepts and organizers of resources, and that the resources themselves will be owned by the citizens.
How can we actually make this data-driven world a reality, given that there are all these concerns around who owns the data? How can you reduce the risk about using it?
We're at the beginning of this journey.
It is think big and start small. from my perspective.
Let's do some small projects really quickly and build a couple of little things really fast to test out some ideas.
Building up a lot of kind of collective knowledge and even having discussions in scenarios and workshops like the one we're in right now, I think helps.
We view this as a catalyst to build a set of relationships, and we're working on finding ways to build on the discussion.
And that there's a sense of a community that's on the rise, so to speak.
I think it was a sense of discovery for all of us that attended.
So I think this is the beginning of a fairly interesting movement.